You look solid right up until the timer comes out, then everything falls apart. Shots scatter, confidence drops, and you think it's your technique. It's not. You don't have a shooting problem, you have a diagnostic problem. And if you can't diagnose it, you can't fix it. So today I'm going to give you one of the first pieces of a system that solves that. Starting at the foundation, everything else is built on. What's up, champions? I'm Chris with Make Ready, retired law enforcement officer and certified Tactical Hyve firearms instructor. What you've just heard in the opening is one of the most common performance gaps I see across every skill level. Slow is clean, fast is ugly, and nobody can tell you why. The answer lives inside a framework called the triangle of control. It has distinctive parts and most shooters develop them one at a time, which is correct, but shooters usually stop there. They never test how these parts work together, and that's where your performance actually lives. Because when one part fails, it will diagnose itself as another problem. Only you've tested them separately, and that's why the failing parts stay hidden. These parts are your stance, your grip, and your trigger. This is a three-part series where we cover one element at a time because each one deserves to be done right. And today, we're going to start at the base of it all, your stance. I know you're probably telling yourself, I've heard everything I need to know about stance and how to stand. But I'm going to make you a guarantee right now. You have not heard about these diagnostic drills. And so by the end of this video, you'll be able to find the breakdowns in your stance that are quietly wrecking your performance and your accuracy along with it. 2 drills, 2 answers. One tests whether your stance controls recoil, and the other tests whether your body is actually aimed where you think it is. This is not just theory. These are drills you can run during your next dry fire session or your next trip to the range, and by the end of these 3 videos, you will have a complete system for diagnosing every part of your shooting. A real path to finally mastering the pistol. A kind of consistency most shooters chase for years and never reach. Before I give you these drills, I want to be straight with you about something. There's no shortage of shooting advice out there. YouTube, people at the range, guys who mean well, but most of it skips the mechanisms, the actual principles that make things work. So you spend months grinding on concepts that were never going to produce lasting change in the first place. And then you blame yourself when things don't work out. So be careful what you take on faith. Ask yourself why and test it for yourself, because in the end, you're the only one pulling the trigger. Not me, not your friend, and not some other YouTuber, just you. Here's what I see consistently. A shooter puts in the reps, they work on their grip, they dry fire, they watch videos and read articles, and they still fall apart under any kind of pressure or speed. The frustrating part is they're not lazy, they're not uncommitted, and they're just solving the wrong problem. Now, these misses are real, and I'm not telling you they aren't, but the scattered shots are the symptom, and the cause is a specific element breakdown, and right now, the element is often hidden. So you're treating the symptom instead of the source. And what you need is a drill that drags this into the light. Most training treats stance, grip, and trigger like 3 separate subjects. You go work on your grip, and then you go work on your trigger, and then you come back and you try to put it all together, and it doesn't quite translate. And here's why. These elements are not independent. They work together. A breakdown in one often shows up as a problem in another. Your grip breaks, the gun moves inconsistently, and then suddenly your trigger control looks like the problem when it never was. Which means working on one in isolation will only take you so far. It's like trying to fix a wobbly table by only tightening one leg. You do all the work, you step back, and the table still wobbles, and the other 3 legs never even got a vote. So instead of guessing which part it is, you're going to test each one across the series. And it starts at the foundation where everything else stacks on, your stance. And by the end, you'll be equipped with the tools to exceed your performance expectations. The first side of the triangle of control is stance, and an ideal stance has 3 purposes, and each one has its own principle that achieves it. The first is to be mobile, stable, and balanced, and that comes from a natural athletic stance. But we're not going to cover that one today. The second purpose is to mitigate recoil, that rearward motion of the firearm as it fires. Your stance does that with a forward center of gravity. And the third is to consistently present your gun center line onto your target without having to steer it there. That comes from the principle of skeletal alignment. You line up your body's frame so the gun settles on target on its own. That settling point is your natural point of aim. And today, we're focusing on those last 2, the 2 that most directly fix what's wrecking your performance. Let's start with recoil. Here's what forward center of gravity means practically. Recoil moves straight back following Newton's 3rd law. Your stance has to mitigate that rearward force. The move is forward, not down, forward. Lowering your center of gravity does a little, but driving it forward is what actually absorbs the recoil. A staggered stance, hips back, shoulders forward, and a slight lean leading the way. That creates a wall for the recoil to push against. Most shooters stand like they're posing for a yearbook photo. Chest out, chin up, weight back, and the gun fires, they rock backwards, the muzzle rises, and the gun has to come back down to the target. And they wonder why their follow-up shots are slow and high. The problem is simple. You can't push back on something you're already leaning away from. Now the second principle, skeletal alignment, and it serves a different purpose. Forward center of gravity handles your recoil, and skeletal alignment will handle your aim. You use your body's natural skeletal alignment to build your natural point of aim. So when you present, the firearm comes up aligned on your target's center line. To achieve this, you square your hips and your shoulders to the target. Your spine and your nose are also centered on the center line. You're not just muscling the sights onto the target. You're not using your vision to steer your body there. It arrives on its own and your vision just confirms it. Let's go back to recoil for a second because this is the job that we test first. Here's how you check your forward center of gravity at home. You present your arms as if you're holding a gun. Your control hand is wrapped around your firing hand. Knuckles are flat, facing forward. You have a partner that strikes your hands in a straight, linear motion, aligned with your air gun. While that's happening, do one of two things. Watch your own shoulders in a mirror or have a partner watch the seam of your shirt at the shoulder. And here's the advantage of doing this in dry fire. No trigger, no bang, no recoil to manage. Your full attention goes straight to your shoulders where you can actually feel if it's moving. What you're looking for is minimal to no rearward movement. If your shoulder rocks back and is slow to return, your forward center of gravity isn't there yet. Adjust your foot position, drive more weight forward, widen and lengthen your stance, and then reset until the movement is minimal or gone. And that's your stance diagnostic. But that only tests one job, recoil. Remember, stance also has to put your gun on target the moment you present. So here's a second drill, the one that tests your natural point of aim. This one's dry fire too, and you'll want to use an inert gun or an air gun, like in the last drill. Set up a target with a line straight down the middle. A strip of blue tape works great. Get in your stance, square your shoulders and your hips to the target. Center your nose and your spine on the tape, and then present your gun. Putting your sights right on the center line, perfectly centered. Now close your eyes, lock your hips and your torso together, and pivot as one piece, like a tank turret. Left, left, and back to center. No more than 45 degrees each way, so you're never pointing anywhere but a safe direction. Then stop, open your eyes, and see where your sights actually landed. What you just did is remove your vision and let your body reset to its natural resting position. If they're dead on the line, your natural point of aim is true, and that's a good rep. Your body has already aimed where you wanted to hit. And if they drifted off, that's your diagnosis. Your body's natural point of aim was somewhere else, and your vision was overriding it every time you presented. And that's wasted effort on every single shot. Here's how to fix it. Don't muscle the sights back onto the line. Adjust your lower body instead while keeping your upper body connected. Move just your feet. And here's an important note. If you're a right-handed shooter and you keep landing to the right of the tape when you're testing and opening your eyes, drop your right knee slightly to square your hips. Then present again and recheck. And one thing to know, horizontal is what matters here the most. Left and right deviation is the error. A little high or low on that line is fine. Anywhere along the center line is a good hit. Run it until you can present on that center line dead on 10 times in a row without thinking about it. And that's when it's yours. And fair warning, if you've drilled a bladed stance for years like the Weaver stance, your body will fight this change. It takes reps to overwrite that. Now you've tested both jobs of your stance, recoil with the airgun slap and aim with your natural point of aim. Now one more thing about stance that most people get wrong. It's not one fixed position. Stance adapts to the shots that are in front of you. Close range, multiple shots, fast. That's when you want the aggressive forward center of gravity because you're managing recoil and getting back on target fast. But a single precise shot at distance, you don't necessarily need that aggressive lean. The forward stance can add tension into your body, and tension can translate into unwanted movement in your sights. For the precise shot, you should stand tall and let your skeleton do the work. Skeletal alignment gives you the stability without muscle tension. And that stillness is what you want for precision. Fast and aggressive for up close, tall and relaxed for distance, when time isn't the dominating factor. So don't lock yourself into one stance. If this makes sense, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and share with someone who'd benefit, because this is only the first element, and the next two are where most shooters find out what's really been costing them. Let's bring your stance together. Your stance has two jobs we tested today: mitigating recoil with the forward center of gravity and putting the gun on the target the moment you present with a skeletal alignment and your natural point of aim. And now you have a drill for each one. The airgun slap tests your recoil. The natural point of aim drill tests your aim. Both dry fire, both you can run tonight. And remember, your stance isn't one fixed position. Aggressive and forward for close and fast, tall and relaxed for distant and precise. Champions, here's your homework. Run both drills before your next range trip. The airgun slap for recoil, the natural point of aim drill for your aim, and get your foundation drilled in first, because everything else is built on top of it. If this diagnostic approach is landing for you, hit the subscribe button, drop a like, and leave a comment telling me which drill helped you the most. And this is how we teach here, focusing on the root cause, not guesswork. Your stance is only the foundation. It's one side of the triangle of control. The full system takes all three. Next up is grip, where I'll give you two drills to expose whether your grip is working or quietly falling apart under recoil. That's part 2 linked here. And part 3 is trigger control, the skill that breaks down first under pressure, with a drill that exposes a trigger problem every time. You run all three and you'll have a complete diagnostic system. That I promised you at the start, a real path to finally mastering the pistol. And if you want to go further, check out MakeReadyTraining.com. I'm Chris from Make Ready. As always, be well, be safe, and keep training.